The invigorating energy of confidence is one of the things we're going to be playing with today as we move. We started out with awareness. Last week we talked a lot about attitude. Today is about action. And confidently being in action is where we're going to go. So here's why they're in the order that they're in. I actually made a drawing. Well, a sort of drawing. Okay. So today is all about actions. And we're going to make a slight annotation to the attitude topic. We're going to talk about qualified attitudes. And you need all three pieces. You need both of these to be able to get into action. Because actions are driven by our emotions. That's what we were talking about with the cycle of results. You know, we get our results only by our actions, and our actions are only driven by our emotions. And I actually brought the cycle of results with me so that in case somebody wanted to take and have more notes on them. So the cycle of results. Results and actions and emotions. And the emotions are driven by our attitudes. And so there we go. Did anybody come in with a crappy attitude that we want to shift or change before we get started today? Do you have an attitude that's been giving you trouble? Because there are attitudes that serve us. And last week we talked about those. And we identified some attitudes that actually help. You know, when you know that and this is where we get to the qualified part. When you know that you work with the best company, best product, best people, best team, that you could possibly create in that moment. And that's the qualifying part. And I realized that this was an important piece to add to it because I got stuck. When I first put the framework around all of my trainings and started teaching people how to resolve negative emotional history, I knew I had the best possible product. I had the best possible delivery system for what I was bringing out into the world. And I got stuck there. Because if it was the best possible, why would I change it? Now, I worked with a lot of people. And it worked better for some than it did for others. And you know, it was like, but I couldn't change it because I knew I already had the best. So I started qualifying that. It was the best that I could create at that time. These were the best team people that I could have at that time because that's what I was ready for. I had to get to the point of qualifying my attitude because I outgrew my team. I didn't know what I had been told by my coach that it would happen, that my first team would not be my final team, and that my first board of directors would not be my last board of directors. And I see this happen in nonprofits. I hadn't really expected it to have to deal with that in my business because I had really good people who wanted to grow with me. We just didn't grow in the same direction. And so I had to change my attitude. And I just qualified it. So if you knew that the people that you were working with right now were the absolute best people for right now, what's your attitude going to be like towards them? Makes it a little easier to be patient, makes it a little easier to be enthusiastic, because you're in a relationship that is good as long as it's good, and it's not a trap if it ever becomes not good. That's why I focus a lot on those questions about what's so good in my life that I want more of it. What do I have right now that I want more? What do I want that I don't have yet? And what's so not good that I want less of it? And those are dynamic lists. I mean, they can change from day to day. And that's what allowed me to be able to take the action of change. So the one thing that's not on the cycle of results is change. You could say that results are really, that's what they are. Something changed if you got a result. But we don't usually think of change that way. We often think of change as something to resist, something that's uncomfortable, but it's really nothing but the results that come from our actions. So the only way to not have change is to not take any action. And even then you're going to deal with change because the people around you are taking action. So that's why I didn't put change on here and I put results instead, because I was like, nobody wants to deal with change. We do all the time, but this is now something we can control. We don't always think we can control change, but we have direct control over a lot in our lives of the results that we're dealing with. And that's what the connections give you the power over. All right, I'm going to hold this up for just a second. What drives the actions are the emotions. Your connections are your direct controls for your emotional state. Used properly, you can absolutely control your results because you'll be controlling your actions by controlling your emotions.